I got married this morning. I went clubbing with my bestie tonight. And I got caught on the spot by my new husband. My bestie's brother cornered me against the 10-foot-tall floor-to-ceiling windows. The usually cool and composed man was now flushed with desire. He loosened his collar, his hawk-like eyes locking onto me, his voice low and raspy. "Mrs. Hayes, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it time for our wedding night?" At the wedding, when the officiant asked if I was willing to be Nolan Hayes' wife, I nodded like a maniac. The officiant laughed. "Looks like the bride is truly in love with the groom." The crowd let out a warm, gentle laugh. Even the usually expressionless Nolan had a faint smile playing on his lips. But honestly, my mind was elsewhere. The moment Nolan slipped the ring onto my finger, I turned to lock eyes with Bella in the audience. "Bestie. We're finally locked in for life." After the wedding, as the guests left, Nolan changed out of his bright wedding attire and into a charcoal gray suit. He walked over to me. "I have an important meeting in a bit." "Go ahead," I said, waving a magnanimous hand. "Don't worry about me." He frowned slightly. I quickly tried to reassure him even more emphatically. "Don't worry. I've got it under control. I'm definitely not one of those needy women who'll keep tabs on you or call and interrupt your work." I don't know if it was just my imagination, but his expression seemed to darken. "But can I ask what time you'll be home? Should I leave a light on for you?" I asked cautiously. His mood inexplicably lightened again. "No need. I'll be working very late tonight. You can go to bed first." With that, he gave me a nod and left. The second his back was out of sight, I spun around, threw my arm over Bella's shoulders, and made a mad dash for the door. "Quick, quick. Your brother just left, and he's probably not coming back tonight. Let's hurry to that new bar. If we wait any longer, all the good booths will be taken." Half an hour later, me in a sexy, low-cut camisole and Bella in a deep V romper were sitting arm in arm in a VIP booth at the Onyx Lounge. I had my arm around a 6 feet 2 inches college athlete with an 8-pack, while she had a cute 20-year-old college guy leaning on her right. We caught each other's eyes, smiled, and raised our glasses, celebrating the fact that our partnership in crime had finally made us sisters-in-law. The cute college guy was a smooth talker, making Bella laugh non-stop. I ran my hand over the athlete's muscular forearm, took a sip of my drink, and adopted a profound expression. I've gotta say, going clubbing after getting married just hits different. Hearing that I was married, the expressions on the college guy and the athlete changed. Even the bartender, who was wiping glasses nearby, looked up at me with curiosity. Bella quickly jumped in. "What? Feeling guilty? Don't be. Why would you hold back with my brother? Relax and have fun. Your marriage is just a formality, he won't control you." I shook my head. "No. You don't get it. Going clubbing after you're married has the thrill of an affair." Bella stared at me for a second, then burst out laughing. "And here I was worried you'd feel bad. Lily, that is so you." "Darling, I married your brother all for you," I said, looking at Bella with deep affection. "I endured marrying that ice king just so I'd have a legitimate excuse to stick with you all the time." Bella took a freshly mixed drink from the bartender. "See? Didn't I tell you? Marrying my brother is a great deal. Look, not only does no one bother us now, but our allowances have doubled, and you can use his black card. It doesn't get much better than this." I also took a drink from the bartender. For some reason, he was looking at me with a smirk. "So, where are we heading after this?" I took a sip. It was sweet, probably not very strong. These two guys are kind of boring. I heard the talent upstairs is higher quality, they have all types. "Want to go check it out?" Bella suggested. My interest was immediately piqued. I leaned against the bar and smiled at the bartender. "Hey, handsome. How do we get upstairs? Your tab for the evening has already qualified you both for the second floor." The bartender produced 2 keys as if by magic. The only rule is that it's one person per room. You have to play separately. Are you two ladies okay with that? Bella and I looked at each other. We came together. Can't we be in the same room? The bartender shook his head. The guys upstairs are all new to the business and really shy. Multiple clients can scare them. Newbies, huh? Now this was exciting. The image of a sweet-looking boy tearfully telling me about his gambling dad, sick mom, little brother in school, and his own broken heart flashed through my mind. What's not to be okay with? Bella, let's go. Let's check it out. Bella and I went into adjacent rooms. A staff member told me I'd have to wait a little. The guy from my room was just changing. I leaned back on the sofa, bored, and suddenly felt a little dizzy. That's weird. I haven't had that much to drink. Just then, I heard the door click open. Someone with very light footsteps walked in. Such quiet steps. He must be pretty thin. I pictured a cute, wide-eyed boy, innocent and sweet as a bunny, and my heart instantly softened. The scolding words I prepared came out less like a complaint and more like a playful pout. What took you so long? I've been waiting forever. The person didn't speak but walked step by step toward me. A shadow fell over me like a dark cloud. That's when I realized something was off. My alcohol-fogged brain slowly registered as I lifted my head. In that instant, my pupils constricted, and my heart nearly stopped. It was him. The man who had stood before witnesses just this morning and vowed to be my husband was now standing silently in front of me. I didn't know if my eyes were playing tricks on me, but he almost looked hurt. Nolan? Seeing him was like seeing a ghost. I shot up and scrambled over to the window. What are you doing here? Don't you have a meeting? It is currently. He glanced at his watch. 11 p.m. Even Scrooge would have let his employees go home by now. Oh, you're off work, I said with an awkward laugh. What a coincidence. You like to hit the bars after work, too. The man let out a humorless laugh. Sorry, I don't drink. He cornered me, forcing me to back away. Then what are you doing in a bar if you don't drink? Oh. I know. Are you planning to acquire this place? The great Mr. Hayes is still working on an acquisition at 11 p.m. You work so hard. Are you playing dumb, or do you really not get it? He took a few more steps forward, trapping me against the 10-foot-tall floor-to-ceiling windows. I came here specifically to get you. Spending your wedding night in a bar and not coming home. Acting like I'm dead? Nolan's deep voice rumbled in my ear like distant thunder, making the side of my face tingle. Do you need me to help you review our wedding vows, Mrs. Hayes? I shrank back uncomfortably, giving him a pitiful glance. I thought you weren't coming home tonight. Being all alone on our wedding night in a strange new house. I was heartbroken. My head was bowed, my gaze was full of unspoken words, and my eyes were welling up with tears. Time for a little tipsy drama. He wouldn't know what hit him. Nolan's expression changed, just as I'd hoped. He unconsciously shifted his stance, pulling back slightly and relaxing his aggressive posture. I gloated internally. See? This is how you strike first and make them feel guilty. Suddenly, he leaned in closer, startling me. His hot, large hand cupped my cheek, the friction sending shivers down my spine. I'm sorry. I came back too late. No, I said, trying desperately to back away until my whole body was pressed against the windowpane. I completely understand. You work so hard to provide for us, honey. I shouldn't be a burden. I am super supportive of your career. Shoo, the man said, his hand gently covering my lips. Lily, what's more important than you, right? The soft, searing heat was the palm of his hand. My eyes, misted over by the warmth, couldn't help but look up at him. The usually cool and composed man was now flushed with desire. He loosened his collar, his hawk-like eyes locking onto me, his voice low and raspy. "Mrs. Hayes, if I'm not mistaken, now would be the time for us to consummate our marriage, wouldn't it?" Consummate? I was completely stunned. I definitely didn't think this part through when I agreed to marry Nolan. His hand tucked a stray strand of hair behind my ear. "We had our wedding today, we made our vows in front of everyone, we got the marriage license, and the state legally recognizes it. Of course we have to consummate it." "No," I blurted out. He paused, looking at me, confused. "At least not today." I knew I was being unreasonable, and I guiltily avoided his gaze. "I'm drunk today. I have no energy." He was remarkably understanding. "That's fine. You don't have to use any energy. I'll do all the work." Still no. My brain went into overdrive as I quickly feigned extreme drunkenness. "Ugh, my head is spinning. I want to sleep. You can't take advantage of me." I let my hand go limp on his arm and started to slide toward the floor. His strong arm immediately wrapped around my waist. It was as if I'd suddenly been engulfed by fire. I was pulled into a scorching hot embrace. I don't know if it was just in my head, but lying in his arms, I really did feel a powerful wave of dizziness. So dizzy. This place must be serving fake liquor. I'm definitely reporting them tomorrow. I struggled to keep my eyes open, but it was useless. Even my voice was getting smaller and smaller. Suddenly, my body was lifted into the air. Nolan had picked me up. He held me with one arm, casually grabbing my purse from the sofa with his other hand, and then walked out with steady steps. The door opened and closed. I thought I heard the bar owner's voice. "So, Nolan? Did your little bride get all worked up and passionate after a few drinks? You can thank me later. I don't just bring out this high-proof Countess for anyone. Thanks for the Countess. My wife is dead drunk." Nolan's voice sounded like it was coming through gritted teeth. "No way. Seeing how comfortable your wife looked coming into the bar, I thought she could really hold her liquor." Nolan let out a helpless laugh. "She can't hold her liquor but loves to drink. Gets wasted every time." I didn't catch the rest. The sleepiness was overwhelming me. I subconsciously snuggled closer to the source of heat, and the soft muscle my cheek was resting on suddenly tensed up. Annoyed, I raised a hand and slapped it a few times like a pillow, then kneaded it, but the thing I was resting on only got harder. Frustrated, I had no choice but to grumble my way into a deep sleep. Just before my consciousness faded to black, I heard a soft whisper, like a little drunken kitten. The next morning, I woke up in a soft, warm embrace. The first thing I saw was a gorgeous, bare, honey-toned chest. "Ah!" My scream echoed through Nolan's sprawling new mansion. Nolan propped himself up, looking sleepy, an 8-pack practically in my face for free. Morning. In just a few seconds, he was fully awake. He threw back the covers and got out of bed, giving me a free view of his long, well-muscled legs. "Headache? What do you want for breakfast?" "I'll have the housekeeper make it," he asked. You. Put some clothes on first." I shut my eyes, turned my head away, and clutched my chest, refusing to look at the man in front of me. Then I realized the texture under my hand felt wrong. I looked down in disbelief, my eyes meeting my own bare chest, then looked back up at him in despair. "Yesterday. You. My clothes." We got back too late, the housekeeper was already asleep. "Don't worry, I'm the one who took your clothes off." "That makes me worry even more." I yelled in frustration, "Then why didn't you help me put on my pajamas?" "How was I supposed to know where you keep your pajamas?" He replied, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. "You. Then why aren't you wearing any pajamas either?" "Sleeping naked is more comfortable. It's good for your skin," he said. I was so angry I was speechless. Then I remembered something, quickly lifted the covers, and took a peek. Okay, good. My underwear was still on. While we were talking, he'd already put on a dress shirt, the crisp collar accentuating his long neck and prominent Adam's apple. "What time are you coming home tonight?" I asked, turning my head away so I wouldn't have to look at him. He glanced up at me with a smirk. "I'll try to be back as early as possible." "There's really no need for that, buddy. Can you please come back later? I want to go have fun with Bella." I forced a fake smile. "That's great." After a breakfast that felt like sitting on pins and needles, I finally saw Nolan off. I let out a long sigh and immediately called Bella. "Hey, bestie. Your brother's gone. Get over here, ASAP." 15 minutes later, Bella snuck in wearing a silk scarf over her head and a huge pair of sunglasses. "Dressed like that, if Nolan saw you on the security cameras, he'd think you were my secret lover." "What do you know? My brother was furious last night. He froze 3 of my credit cards in one go and ordered me not to see you again. He said if I showed my face here one more time, he'd freeze my last card too." Bella flopped onto the sofa, her expression full of indignation. "All I did was take my new sister-in-law to a bar on her wedding night. Was that really necessary?" "I know, right?" I roared along with her. "He wasn't even in the picture when we were out picking up guys together." Bella's phone buzzed twice. She glanced at it and let out a wail. "Ack, my last card just got frozen." "Ahem. I'll be back before noon, Lily. Is there anything you'd like to eat?" Nolan's voice came from the entryway. Bella shot up from the sofa in fright. "Oh, Bella's here too? Then stay for lunch." We stared at each other, then followed the sound and finally found a camera with a blinking red light in the entryway. When it saw that we'd spotted it, the camera even seemed to nod at us politely. That bastard Nolan actually installed a camera in his own house to spy on his wife and sister talking. "Lily, what do you want to eat?" "I'll pick it up on my way home from work," Nolan's voice came through again. Lobster bisque?" I tentatively suggested. That's not too hard. Be good and wait for me to come home." The camera flashed twice, then went still. "He really does think I'm your lover," Bella said with a pained expression. "He's such a creep." I sighed repeatedly. "Has your brother always been such a control freak?" I asked Bella. "No way. If he were this strict, I never would have had the chance to go clubbing and chase celebrities with you all those years. Who knows what's gotten into him? Maybe he knows he's not that charming and is scared his hard-won wife will run off." The image of the very vivid, very tempting abs I'd seen that morning flashed through my mind, and I subconsciously swallowed. I couldn't help but mumble, "Well, actually, he is pretty charming." Nolan was true to his word. He was back before 11. And following behind him was a beautiful woman carrying shopping bags. "What are you doing here?" The moment Bella saw her, she shot up and shielded me like a mother hen protecting her chick. "Bella, we have a guest." "Don't be rude," Nolan said with a frown. I quickly pulled Bella back and said with a smile, "Since you have a guest to entertain, Bella and I can just go out to eat. We won't get in your way." Bella snorted and started walking toward the door, pulling me with her. "Come back," Nolan commanded. Bella completely ignored him. "Bella, if you take one step out that door, I'll have Mom and Dad cut off your allowance tomorrow," Nolan threatened in a low voice. "Cut it off then. Who's scared of you?" "I'll freeze your sister-in-law's card too," Nolan said flatly. What did I do to deserve this? With our financial lifelines being held hostage, Bella and I had no choice but to stay home. If I'd known my brother was like this, I never would have introduced you to him. Bella muttered resentfully, staring at the two backs laughing and talking in the kitchen. "So what's the deal with this pretty girl?" I asked curiously. "Her name is Isabella. She's the daughter of my parents' friends and has had a crush on Nolan since we were kids. She was always jealous that I got to be around him all the time, so she was constantly picking on me and saying weird, provocative things." Bella looked down, her expression dark. And your brother is still so close with her? That's awful. Ha. My brother is just a cold-blooded businessman who doesn't do anything unless it benefits him. His company and Isabella's have business dealings, so he'll always have contact with her. Why would he care what we think? In the kitchen, Isabella was chatting with Nolan while chopping vegetables. The fresh vegetables were crisp and vibrant, but Isabella's hands were even more pale and delicate. I looked down at my own hands. The shape was passable, but they were a little rough from all the chores I'd done growing up. Compared to Isabella's, mine were like dirt next to a diamond. If Nolan is this kind of person, then why did he marry me? I come from a normal background, and I'm pretty average. With Nolan's personality, he should have married someone from a family of equal standing, I said. Bella looked at me, confused, then shook her head. I don't know either. My mom was nagging him to get married, but he kept saying he was too busy with work for a relationship. I jokingly asked if he wanted me to introduce you to him, and I never expected him to actually agree. I was shocked too. You two had met a few times, but you'd never really spoken. I thought he wouldn't even remember you. It was true. Even though I'd been hanging out with Bella for years, Nolan was a stranger to me. Whenever I went to the Hayes house, he always seemed busy, either working from home or about to leave for work. When we did run into each other, it was just a nod and a hello. No, wait. There was one time. I had gone over to their house to play video games with Bella. The sky was clear when I arrived, but a huge storm rolled in shortly after. Bella always gets sleepy on rainy days, so she left me in the game room and went to take a nap. I was playing a single-player game by myself and starting to get bored when I suddenly heard a knock on the door. Nolan came in with a cup of ginger tea, politely saying that the damp weather was perfect for a warm drink. I thanked him, but he didn't leave. Instead, he looked curiously at the red dot jumping around on the screen. Want to play together? I asked casually, fully expecting a busy guy like him to say no. But he said yes. That day, Bella slept the whole afternoon, and Nolan played It Takes Two with me the whole afternoon. A lot of people call it the divorce game because so many levels require perfect cooperation, and one tiny mistake can force you to start over, which often leads to couples blaming each other. My skills weren't great back then, and I made him start over many times, but Nolan never got mad once. He would even comfort and encourage me when I failed. When we finally beat the game, we instinctively high-fived and cheered. His smiling eyes met mine, and for a split second, he seemed to freeze. It was just a fleeting moment. I'm not sure if my heart skipped a beat in that instant or not. Then, just as quickly, he reverted to his usual polite but distant demeanor, gave me a slight nod, and left with the empty cup. If it weren't for the level complete screen still glowing on the TV, I would have thought the whole thing was a dream. Perhaps it was that precious afternoon that made me have a soft spot for him. And now, that calm and patient young man from my memories had become my legal spouse and was in the kitchen making my favorite dish. And cooking with him was a woman who had supposedly been in love with him for years. Fate is truly strange and dramatic. It was May, prime season for spring ingredients. The soup, simmered for a full hour with savory pork and fresh vegetables, was a creamy white and smelled divine. I eagerly ladled a bowl for myself. Wow, Nolan's cooking was seriously good, way better than that ginger tea he'd made all those years ago. Bella, Isabella remembered you like sweet dishes and even made you sweet and sour ribs. Don't you think you owe her an apology for how you treated her earlier? Nolan lectured her like the head of the family. Oh no. I put my head in my hands. For a stubborn mule like Bella, you had to coax her, not push her. With a tone like Nolan's, there was no way Bella wouldn't get mad. Sure enough, Bella slammed her chopsticks on the table. Did I ask her to cook for me? If we ever have kids, Nolan can't be the one to discipline them. The house would be in constant chaos. Wait. Why am I thinking about having kids with Nolan? Ms. Isabella, even though you've been in love with my brother since you were kids, a devotion that could move heaven and earth, I still have to warn you, my brother is married. This is my sister-in-law. Bella patted my shoulder. What you're doing right now is trying to break up a family. Isabella just smiled. Miss Hayes, you've misunderstood. Your brother and I are just friends. With that, she placed her hand on Nolan's shoulder. Isn't that right, Nolan? Nolan nodded. Bella, don't talk nonsense. Bella looked like she was about to explode. Isabella added fuel to the fire. Bella, I've explained it to you so many times. Your brother and I are really just good friends. Can you please stop imagining things that aren't there? Bella turned and stormed out, slamming the door with a deafening crash. The three of us left at the table fell silent. Nolan and I looked at each other. His mouth opened as if he wanted to say something. I quickly cut him off. You're not going to freeze my card, are you? I didn't run out. I was just about to stop her, but I couldn't catch her. My arms are too weak, sniffle, sniffle. Nolan closed his mouth. He gave me an indescribable look and squeezed out 2 words through his teeth, I won't. Good. So I relaxed and enjoyed one bowl of soup after another. She still hates me so much, Isabella said suddenly, looking a little dejected. Nolan comforted her. It's okay. She'll accept you one day. I hope so, Isabella said, her voice filled with weariness. Stop drinking soup and eat some rice, or you'll be hungry later tonight. Nolan pressed down on my hand holding the spoon and put a scoop of rice in my bowl. Lily, can I call you that? Isabella suddenly struck up a conversation with me. Oh, of course, I said, picking up a piece of sweet and sour rib. Isabella's cooking was pretty good too. Do you know why Bella is so close with you? She asked. Probably because we just get along well. What do you two do for fun when you hang out? Games? Fandoms? Bars? Guys? I racked my brain. Just the usual stuff normal girls like. At the mention of guys, Nolan's face turned a little green. Isabella fell into thought. After Isabella left, Nolan put the dishes in the dishwasher. He had given the housekeeper the day off, so the entire mansion was empty. I shuffled over to him. Dinner was delicious today. Thank you. He didn't even turn to look at me. Thank who? You. Who am I? What kind of weird question was that? Nolan? He sighed, closed the dishwasher, and turned around. You should say, thank you, honey. Silly. His face was very close. The kitchen window was open, and the gentle late spring breeze, warm and fragrant with flowers, made his long eyelashes flutter. I felt my heart fluttering wildly too. One of his hands cupped the back of my head, while the other caressed my cheek. His large hands, just cooled by icy water, were now perfectly, delicately cool against my skin. Do you know why I gave the housekeeper the day off today? He murmured, staring at me. Why? My voice had become a whisper. Because when I want to make love to you. He leaned down and kissed me. I want it to be just you and me in our home. I was almost breathless from his kiss, my body continuously sliding down. He caught my waist with both hands, lifted me up, and set me on the marble countertop. He held me close, my back pressed against the cool ceramic tiles. Ice cold behind me, but the embrace in front of me grew hotter and hotter. How many times do I have to teach you to call me honey? As he spoke, he kissed me again. This time the kiss was rough, possessive, as if he wanted to devour me whole. It's cold. I complained breathlessly, feeling wronged. He stopped, resting his forehead against mine, both of us panting heavily. Then, he swept me up in his arms and carried me toward the bedroom. For the entire afternoon and into the night, he led me in a dance of passion. It started tamely enough in bed, but soon we moved to the floor-to-ceiling windows, the dining table, the sofa. When night fell, he even wanted to carry me out to the swing in the garden. I clung to the doorframe, refusing to budge, and only then did he reluctantly give up. By the end, I was practically a puddle of jelly, draped over his arm. He held me, satisfied, wrapping me tightly in the blanket in his arms, then leaned down to kiss my forehead again and again. "Sleep," he whispered, turning off the light. The room fell into darkness. I was out like a light. When I woke up the next day, I was still in Nolan's arms. I opened my eyes to see his chest covered in marks, and a sense of pride washed over me, knowing they were my handiwork. One of his arms was pillowed under my head, the other resting on my waist. The moment I moved, he woke up. "Morning, Mrs. Hayes," he said, his voice still thick with sleep and unexpectedly sexy. "Morning," I said, looking up at him. He watched me, as if he were waiting for something. "Honey," I couldn't resist. I leaned in and kissed one of the marks on his chest. His eyes lit up. He kissed me back, then got up to change. "I might be busy today. I'll try to get back as early as I can. Be good and wait for me at home." Bella arrived, timing her entrance perfectly with Nolan's departure. The first thing she did after coming in was unplug the camera in the entryway. Only then did she relax on the sofa. "So you're saying Isabella asked you how she could get on my good side?" Bella's brow furrowed as she listened to my story. After a long pause, she spoke cautiously. "I suspect she hasn't given up. She still wants to be part of this family. So, will Nolan divorce me?" My eyes went wide, and I started pacing back and forth. Impossible. Isabella is the heir to her family's fortune. Her family would never let her marry into ours. That explains it. Bella had a sudden realization. "That's why Nolan agreed so quickly when he heard he was marrying you. He must have liked Isabella all along, but since he couldn't marry her, he found someone easy to fool so you wouldn't get in their way. What a shameless pair. This makes me so mad." Bella seethed. "Lily, listen to me. If he gets to have his fun on the side, you can't shortchange yourself. Let's go. We're going to the bar." The moment I heard bar, I completely forgot Nolan's morning instructions and happily linked arms with Bella to head out. We went back to the same bar. After all, you have to get back on the horse that threw you. The bar was nearly empty during the day. Chairs were stacked on tables, and the bartender from last time was lazily flicking a lighter at the counter. When he saw us walk in, his face stiffened. "Welcome. What can I get for you?" "The handsome, masked guy who was talking to me last time, is he here today?" Bella asked. I'll have to call and check," the bartender said hesitantly. "And for this lady?" "I'll have the college guy I missed out on last time," I said. "And get us a few bottles of something low alcohol. Last time was too strong." "Right away." I don't know if it was just my imagination, but the bartender's mouth twitched slightly. "What handsome guy? How come you didn't tell me?" I asked, curious. "So much has been going on, I didn't get a chance to tell you," Bella said excitedly. It was that night. This tall, skinny guy came in. His voice was all raspy and magnetic, and he had long hair, even smoother than yours. It's a shame he was wearing a mask, so I don't know what he looks like. I'm determined to make him take it off willingly today. "You go, girl." The door closed, and the room darkened slightly. Once again, I was sitting alone on the sofa, just like on my wedding night. What kind of cute guy would it be this time? I heard footsteps, light and springy. Sounded like sneakers. Right, college guys love sneakers. Youthful and cool. I started to imagine long, straight legs, a big, baggy hoodie, a bright, smiling face. The door opened. I eagerly looked over. White sneakers, light gray sweatpants, a lavender hoodie, exactly as I'd imagined. "Ma'am, your drink." A pair of long, slender hands offered me a glass, and the beautiful young man spoke with Nolan's voice. I was so shocked I almost fell off the sofa. Nolan quickly helped me up. You. How did you know I was here?" Nolan sighed. The owner of this bar is a friend of mine. If you recall, we even toasted him at our wedding. The owner? That bartender? He did look vaguely familiar. No wonder Nolan showed up so quickly last time. There was a traitor in our midst. Ms. Lily, weren't you looking for an innocent college boy? Are you satisfied with this one? Nolan stood up and did a little spin in front of me. Satisfied. Satisfied. Very satisfied. How could I dare say I wasn't? Nolan picked up the drink and held it to my lips. Then please drink up and help me boost my sales. I still have a gambling dad, a sick mom, and a good-for-nothing sister to support. Wait. Before I could refuse, the cold liquid slid down my throat, igniting a hot spark. A trickle of it escaped the corner of my mouth. Nolan tilted my chin up, leaned in, and kissed the drop of liquor from my lips. He rested his forehead against mine and murmured, "You have me now. Why do you still need to look for other men? Am I not enough for you?" Without letting me answer, Nolan kissed me fiercely. The dizziness from the lack of air mixed with the numbing sensation of the alcohol, and my face turned bright red. He let me go. I gasped for air and whimpered, "You're so unreasonable. It's okay for you to see other women, but not for me." What other women? Isabella. Didn't you marry me because you couldn't marry her? How could? Wait, are you jealous? He actually looked happy. No. I just think that since I don't even meddle with you and other women. You are jealous. He said, covering my mouth with his hand. He looked me over again and again before kissing me once more. This time, it was gentle, like an evening breeze. Does this mean you're starting to like me a little, too? Nolan whispered. Too? What did that mean? Was Nolan saying that he liked me? Before I could think any further, Nolan pulled me onto his lap. My body was pressed tightly against his chest, and I could feel the steady beat of his heart. So you started liking me back then? Once again drained of all my energy by Nolan, I lay against his chest and listened as he told me everything, piece by piece. Back then, Bella was very introverted. No one in the family knew how to communicate with her. My parents, especially, are short-tempered, and they'd get into arguments that made her want to run away. Later, she said she'd made a friend, and her personality started to open up. We were all so happy. To be safe, I did a little background check on you. I found out that even though you'd had a tough life, you were always so positive, always happy. Actually, Bella and I are a lot alike in some ways. We were raised very strictly by our parents, never allowed to slack off. And since I was the boy, my parents were even less tolerant of me throwing tantrums. Nolan held me tighter, took my hand, and brought it to his lips, kissing it as if it were a treasure. The nerve endings that hadn't yet settled down tingled once more. Lily, you have no idea how happy and relaxed I feel when I'm with you. He pressed his face against mine as if he wanted us to melt into one. But, Isabella, I began hesitantly. Isabella has never liked me, and I have never liked her. I only like you, he said solemnly. Isabella actually really likes Bella. She's wanted to be friends with her since they were kids, but Bella hates her. The more Isabella shows up, the more annoyed Bella gets. Nolan laughed, and the resonance from his chest transferred directly to me. You can blame my parents for that. Oh, wait, our parents. They were always holding Isabella up as a good example for Bella. How could Bella not get annoyed? I couldn't help but say, you weren't much better, you know. Last time, Bella was furious, and you were just adding fuel to the fire. Oh, Nolan said coolly. I did that on purpose. She dragged my wife to a bar on our wedding night. What's wrong with letting that little brat suffer a little? Seeing this side of Nolan for the first time, I was completely floored. I'll tell you another secret. The masked guy she met both times was actually... What? I was completely stunned. Then, how did she make her voice sound like a boy's? She just has to lower her voice. Isabella's voice is naturally androgynous anyway. Nolan said lazily, forget about them. Mrs. Hayes, shall we go home? My strength hadn't returned yet. My whole body was sore and limp. I couldn't move an inch. Let's stay a little longer. We haven't finished the drinks. Don't want to waste them. Nolan picked up the glass, downed it in one go, then tilted my chin up and passed it all into my mouth. The drink, which had been iced, was now warm as it rolled down my throat. He nuzzled my cheek and whispered, please don't come to bars anymore, okay? But he gave me another kiss. Or I can come with you. What kind of guy do you like? The young college student? The cool CEO? I can play any part. Just choose me, okay? With such a handsome man in front of me, speaking in such a soft, coaxing voice, I found it impossible to refuse. So I agreed. Bella, I'm so sorry. From now on, you'll have to come to the bar by yourself. After all, you wouldn't want your brother watching while you're trying to flirt with a hot guy, would you? My head's a little fuzzy. Let's go home, I said with a yawn. Okay. Nolan stood up, carrying me, and walked out the door. The handsome bartender looked at me with a smirk. Not bad. You didn't pass out this time. You're getting better at holding your liquor. Snitch. I yelled, pointing at him indignantly. No, please address me as the guardian of love. He gave a slight bow, tipping an imaginary hat. I buried my head in Nolan's chest and refused to look at him. What about Bella? Should we call her to go home with us? I only remembered Bella was still at the bar once we were in the car. It's fine. Isabella will take her home. My little sister is all grown up. It's time to let her spread her wings. And stop her from constantly kidnapping my wife. Nolan flashed a cunning smile. Ugh. If Bella had even half of Nolan's cunning, we wouldn't have been so completely outmaneuvered by him. Actually, I did sneak out with Bella a few times behind Nolan's back later on. But Bella was always getting tied up with Isabella, and Nolan loved to pull me into video game sessions after work, so we didn't go out as much anymore. And then, I got pregnant. The moment he saw the positive test, Nolan's eyes lit up like shooting stars, and then he became incredibly anxious, constantly burying himself in parenting books. I can't believe I'm going to be an aunt, Bella murmured, touching my flat stomach. I thought with my brother's personality, you two would never have kids. Or maybe years from now he'd bring home a love child for you to raise. Bella. Nolan, who was passing by, heard her and scolded her in a low voice. I just smiled without saying anything. I was too embarrassed to tell Bella that her brother was actually a total leck who was always looking for an excuse to wear me out. What can I say? Bella is too innocent. The last time she saw a hickey on my neck, she asked if we had a mosquito problem. Wait, what's this on your collarbone? Why is it red? I happened to look up and noticed a red mark on her collarbone. Ah, that. It's, a mosquito. Summer's almost here, all the mosquitoes are coming back to life, she stammered, which only made me more suspicious. Oh, well, I won't disturb you too. I'm going to get dinner with Isabella. She slipped away like a gust of wind. Hey. Oh well. Since she wasn't ready to talk about it, I wouldn't push her. It's best to let love blossom on its own. I looked past the great CEO pacing with his parenting books, out toward the lush green scenery outside the window. The May sunlight was warm and intoxicating, old trees were sprouting new branches, fish were leaping from the thawed water, and all of nature was growing and thriving. Everything was falling into its perfect place.